Hey there, extraordinary thinkers. Travathan here. I want to address something that came up in my personal life. Some of you that may have read my books or followed my blogs or been on my social media know that in 2007, in the beginning of 2007, I became very ill. And in a matter of about 3 days, it became extreme crisis mode, and I came very close to dying. And one thing that happened was that a friend of mine from Australia, who's actually Scottish, she found out what was going on, and she kind of called in the cavalry and said, hey, Lee's in ICU, she's really sick, they think she's going to die, we need to get some positive vibes going here, some positive thoughts, some prayers, some distance Reiki, just throw it all in there, anything that you can do, because we can't let this happen, we got to stop this. And what I had was something called valley fever, which is quite common here in Arizona and some other parts of the country, but very prolific here in Arizona. I didn't know that at the time that I got it. I really didn't know anything about it. I had built a new home, and I was out in the yard helping the landscapers when they were working in the yard. And I was breathing in spores from the dirt that were very dangerous. And I had over a month, I always keep a calendar of everything that happens in my day, and over a month, I noticed after the fact that in that month, I had about 4 days out of the month where I just had no energy, I couldn't do anything, I wasn't feeling great, I couldn't put my finger on what was going on, but I just didn't feel that good. Well, that's when that was invading my body. I just didn't know it. And there was a day that came when I felt like I had an elephant on my chest. And I just couldn't get enough air. And my husband took me to the emergency room. Within about 2 hours, they let me know that I was going to die. And there wasn't much of a way to do anything. It was kind of too late. So I was stuck in ICU, and some procedures happened. But long story short, while I was in ICU, my friend Kathleen, she had gotten people rallied together. She's an opera star, and she was with the Sydney Opera House for 20 years, and she knew a lot of my contacts. We kind of ran in the same crowds, and she got people motivated. She got people organized. She got things on the move, and she got the word out. My friend Julian Lennon also helped with sort of the tail end of this attempt by making sure people understood what valley fever was and what they needed to be aware of. What happened was that, kind of emotional, I'll kind of get it together here. The third day I was in ICU was pretty bad. And one of the nurses came in and told me that they didn't think there's much of a possibility that I would last much longer. So she said, do you have any requests? And I said, jokingly, I'd like a harpist at my door to play some lovely music. And I would like some chamomile tea, the real stuff that has the flowers and some of the leaves in there. I want the real deal. And she said, okay, let me see what I can do. And it was very interesting because less than 2 hours later, I had chamomile tea of my choosing, and I had a harpist at my door, and she was playing lovely music for me. And when she was done, the nurses came in, checked on me, and gave me they had someone come up and give me a breathing treatment with the idea that they understood that I was going to cease to breathe. And we had a no resuscitate order on me, so we weren't using tubes or any of that. So they knew I was going to stop breathing. So by doing the treatment, at least it would be a little bit easier. And then they gave me a really heavy-duty sleeping pill. And that would just let me go to sleep and just go away. And they had asked me if I wanted them to call my husband, and I said, no, I don't want him watching this. I don't know what this is going to be like. I don't want to watch it. So I don't want him watching it. And he took care of his mom towards the end when she was dying of cancer, lung cancer, and it was very hard on him. So I said, I don't want him seeing this. While all this was going on, here was Kathleen. She was keeping all this stuff going. She was making sure everyone had all the info, and people were doing the prayer work and Reiki and everything. And the doctor came in that night just before I sort of passed out and put his hand on my hand and patted my hand, and he said, I'm so sorry that it's going this way. We just can't do anything else. There's just nothing more. And I'm sorry. Your lungs are just nearly black, and the spores are all over them, and there's just nothing more. And I'm so sorry. And I looked at him, I grinned, and I said, don't worry about it. Wherever I end up, I'm going to be fine. But I plan to be here tomorrow. And he gave me this strange look. It's like, is she on crack? That look. I said, yeah, I'm going to be here. And I said, what you're not aware of is there's about 250,000 people all over the world that are working on my body right now. They're doing prayer work. I explained all this stuff to him. He just looked at me strange and patted my hand. That's good, dear. He said, I just wanted to let you know we've done all we can do. I really want you to know we exhausted everything we could. And I said, that's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. And he left the room. And the door was closed. And I went to sleep. So about 6:30 the next morning, this happened to be Easter morning, which was somewhat significant to me as a preacher's kid, who's not much of a preacher's kid anymore, but I was. And I woke up. And not only did I wake up, but I could breathe normally, like I'm supposed to breathe. I could breathe totally fine. And I felt okay. I didn't feel fantastic, but I felt okay. It was hard for me to believe that just less than 12 hours before, all of my organs were shutting down. It was just so hard to believe, because it was like, huh? Was that somebody else's body? I feel fine. And I rang the nurse, and someone said, yes? Like, what's going on? And I said, could I get some breakfast? It might not be the right time, but could I just get something? I'm so hungry. And boom, I just put the little controller thing down, and boom, here came the nurse, and she looked at me with these big eyes and said, you're awake. I said, and so are you. We have something in common, isn't that great? She looked at me again and she said, are you okay? I said, I'm just super hungry and I'm really thirsty. Could I get something? She said, how do you feel? And I said, I feel great. She said, okay, I'll be back in a minute. She left the room and she didn't close the door. So I could hear everything that was happening at the nurse's station just a little bit ways, and everybody's like, she's awake. What's going on here? I don't know. We got to call the doctor. So they did call the doctor, who was out on the golf course. It was a beautiful morning. It was out golfing early here in Arizona. And he said, do the valley fever test again. Do it now. Get it done. Get fast results. So they did. So I didn't have to wait for any results. They were there almost immediately. And it came back that the lungs that were full of spores just hours before were pretty much clear. Yeah. So the doctor left the golf course, got in his car, rushed to the hospital, It's just at the same time my husband was coming in, and the doctor had just explained to me what was going on with my body. And my husband walked in the door, and I said, I think you ought to explain it to him. And he looked at my husband and he said, I'm a man of science. I don't understand how any of this happened. I don't get it. It's like, what happened here? And I could just sit there and grin. Now, it still took 1.5 years to heal from the damage that it did to my body. And I'm still a long hauler, but I hardly ever have an issue. And why do I tell you this story? Because someone saw that this story had been posted a couple of days ago and sent me a note and said, you know, Lee, I've been following you for many, 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 many years. I go way back with you, with your blogs and your books and everything, your videos, all. I go way back. But I'm reading this story about you and this healing, this miraculous healing, which, by the way, I don't believe it was miraculous. That's another whole subject. I just believe it was thoughts or things. And what you focus on expands. And we were focusing on healing and being completely well, which in my mind I was. No matter what my body was doing, in my mind I was healed. It was done. So that's not miraculous to me. But to him it was. And he said, I don't understand how I'm supposed to understand this. And I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm an atheist. This looks like it's something about faith. Isn't prayer about faith? And isn't that like about Christianity? And I'm an atheist, so something like that could never happen to me, right? Like if I got COVID or something and I got really sick, I couldn't come back from that, right? Because I'm an atheist. Because I don't work with faith. I don't do faith. And I had to kind of chuckle. And I'll tell you why. No matter who you are, and no matter what you believe, every thought that you have every day is a prayer. You're calling it into being. And you do have faith. You do have faith. It just may not be the kind of faith that you grew up hearing about, but you do have faith. Do you think the sun is going to come up tomorrow? Sure you do. Why? Because you have faith that it will. Do you think the sky is going to be blue? Sure you do. Why? Because you have evidence that it turns blue pretty much every day unless there's a storm or something. So you can have faith that the sky is going to be blue. If you cut yourself, you believe that cut's going to heal, right? That's faith. You have faith that cut's going to heal. So there's all this discussion these days about people who are atheists and people who are Christians and people who are just spiritual and people who don't believe in anything and people who are still looking for something to believe in. But really, in the end, there's no labels that matter. They don't make a bit of difference at all. They just don't matter at all. I have known Christians who say they have faith and are some of the meanest people I have ever seen. I have some of them in my family, in my own family. So what do they have faith in? They say they have faith in the words in a book. But if they're not living it, they have more faith in their hate and their anger and their nasty disposition and things like that. And on the flip side of that, I have seen people who don't really believe in anything. They just believe we're here, we do our thing, we just kind of get through all this and then we die and then we move on. That's it. It's over. And they don't see anything in between. So I have seen those people be some of the kindest, most generous, most warm-hearted people that I've ever met, and they're not reading anything in a book. They're just trying to enjoy their day, I guess you could say. So what do they have faith in? they have faith, life's good. It's all good. In fact, one of the phrases, one of the people I'm talking about, that's what they say. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good, baby. It's all good. And so that's what they have faith in. So when it comes to things that seem miraculous, I know why that's so powerful. Because we get so used to things not being so great. And especially if you don't know how to work with your own mind and you don't have a clear perspective on life, you could get kind of down in the dumps about it all. But even at that, you have faith. So everyone has faith. It just is all about what you have faith in. Is it something that's going to be life-giving to you, or is it something that's going to be life-taking for you? Is it going to lift you up or tear you down? So choose wisely what you have faith in. And just remember, and I know some of you won't believe me, and that's okay, but I'm going to say it anyway. Your thoughts are your prayers. When you have a thought, it's like you threw a pebble in a pond and the ripples go out, and that's your vibration. And that's a prayer. So do what you can to keep the most positive vibration, thoughts of love, peace, care, hope, joy. All of these are high vibrational type thoughts. And just realize, even if you happen to be an atheist, you still have faith. This is not something that just belongs to some religious agenda. It isn't. And it has actually been used many times in the wrong way. In fact, the word religion only means to do the same thing over and over. So if you go out and play basketball every day, that's part of your religion. If you like to go and hike every day, that's part of your religion. If you comb your hair every day, that's part of your religion. See what I mean? We get hung up in words and agendas when really you can't live without faith. You have it all the time. It's always yours. So just be aware of what you have faith in. In the situation that happened to me, Kathleen Proctor Moore, a legendary opera star, who's my heart sister, had faith in me that if we could connect our minds towards one goal and see it done, and not only see it done, but know absolutely beyond a doubt that it was done, then it was done. Didn't matter how big the mountain was, so to speak. We were bigger. And she just happened to get a whole lot of people on her page, literally, on her social media page, helping her, helping me. And we got it done. And we heard from people for probably a year and a half after that, just telling me what was going on during that time, that at that time, of course, I was unaware of. They were meeting in coffee shops and reading blogs that I'd written and reminding themselves of how powerful they were and how powerful they could always be. And some people were holding prayer vigils. Kathleen did a worldwide prayer vigil, and people got together at exactly the same time. And that's probably what just really turned the corner for me, because I know exactly when it happened, and I know when I changed. So that was happening. There were people having candlelight ceremonies. There were people lighting candles at home and doing prayer work and Reiki and positive thought. There were people doing visualizations. They were manifesting. One rule that we all had was you must stay positive if you're going to participate. We didn't want anybody coming in with any kind of a doubt thing going on. It had to be positive. And people kept that agenda. So I wanted to talk about faith because I get questions about it a lot, and this one was very interesting. When somebody said to me, well, but I'm an atheist, so I don't have faith in anything. And of course I'm thinking, did you get out of bed today? Yeah, of course I did. Well, but you had faith that when you put your feet down and you stood up, that your carriage was going to carry your weight. Your body was going to cooperate. You had faith. Well, yeah. Did you walk? Well, yeah. How'd you walk? I just got up and walked. I just put one foot in front of the other. Well, of course, I just walked. You walked because you had faith that you could. So here's the thing about faith. If you have faith that you can walk, you can walk. But an experiment was done in the UK many years ago. I don't remember who did it now. I just remember reading about it. There was a therapist who asked some of his patients for 1 week to start to think about, to put doubt in place, to start to think about, well, what would I do if I couldn't walk? Can I walk? Maybe I can't walk. And he asked them to kind of play this game with him. And you know what? By the end of the game, there were actually people who just simply couldn't walk. They were capable, they were able, but they couldn't because they had so convinced themselves that they couldn't walk. So they couldn't walk. Then they had to work to reconvince themselves that they could. That's how powerful thought is. So I've told you my story today. I hope you can understand it. Please don't send me messages and tell me I'm lying. There's hundreds and thousands of people who will tell you that they were a part of it, so no, I'm not. But I would like you to check out my latest book. And oh, I got to tell you, the audiobook is so great. This is a book about you. It's called Love Beyond Compare. And it tells you about birthrights that almost no one ever discusses with you. In fact, some of them you may have never even heard about, but they are your birthrights. One of your birthrights has to do with faith. So get the book. I'll put all the links down below. All my contact information will be down below. And I am going to be starting soon going back to my Zoom calls that we were doing for a long time, that people can come on and ask questions about extraordinary thinking, which is what this is all about, this channel is all about. And it's very different from ordinary thinking that you're used to. But people can bring their stuff there, so to speak, and unload it, and we can work through it. And I will have information down below on my contact if you're interested. My contact information will be down there. Shoot me a note and say, hey, I'm interested in those Zoom calls. If you've liked this video, be sure you go down and subscribe, and be sure that you share this video around with your friends. And if you have your own story, please put it in the comments down below. I'd love to see if you've had any things like what happened to me happen to you. I like to hear all those stories all the time. And I'm also putting some videos right here for you to check out. Take a look at either one of these or both of these. And I would suggest that you go to the happiness series and start watching it from the very beginning and watch it to the end, because that will also help you in your quest of extraordinary thinking. If you're new to this channel, hang in there, be sure you subscribe and keep watching, because this channel continues to grow and I'm hoping that you're growing with it. So till next time, take good care, be safe, be well. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.